Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Speaking of scary, Donald's family, Melania, was asked on Tuesday why she has finally joined her husband on the campaign trail. She did not provide...
Best.
Oh, because she was being best?
She was being the best.
Okay, thank you.
Be best.
Apparently that is the end of her...
Individual liberty.
Okay, the former First Lady did not provide much clarity in her answer. She said, "It was an incredible place. I love New York City. I think people to hear from me at that on that day." I just think it's kind of hilarious that he's running against all immigrants and his wife sounds like Latka from Taxi. But that's just... The arena, Madison Square Garden, the support that we have, and I want to support my husband as well. So I was there for him and everybody else. Okay, then she had to go on to say, it's terrible, he's not Hitler. You know when you have to say your husband's not Hitler?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of Hitlery. Saying on all
Was there a comma in there?
No, no, I'm just reading the actual transcript.
It's terrible, he's not Hitler.
Ava Braun said the same thing.
He's, and all of his supporters, they're standing behind him because they want to see country successful. Okay, she, yes, has been invisible during the campaign, but she has been out promoting her own book, Melania.
Man, I feel for her ghostwriter. You know, a friend of mine is a ghostwriter, and there's absolutely no way this person was like, this is the easiest job I've ever had.
Of all the first ladies we've had.
Yeah.
She's the naked, the Christmas lady.
Yep.
Oh, so proud. So, you know, we're all like, again, sphincters snapped shut. So one analyst is saying it may take a while for final results to be tabulated in many swing states on election night. One election analyst has flagged a key signal whether Vice President Harris is in a good position to win Georgia. He said, look at Baldwin and Washington counties. Both are more rural. If Harris wins both, she's likely getting the rural black turnout and margins needed to win the state. Harris can win the state without that, of course, but if you're looking for a good blue alert type of signal in 2024 in a non-Atlanta county, that's a pretty good one.
It is really interesting. Like in 2020, it was all eyes on Georgia. You remember? You know, it was like, what's going on in Georgia? We haven't heard much about Georgia other than all of the BS that's happening with the election board. It seems like he's most focused on Pennsylvania. Like he's not. We don't see a lot of tweets about what's going on in Georgia.
Someone just said what Chris said yesterday. A Republican strategist said his internals must not look good in Pennsylvania because he is spazzing out about Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Hey, there's been like 3 news stories just yesterday. There's been, I don't know how many troths or truths or whatever, but yeah.
Troths or truths or whatever. Trumps.
Yeah. So this headline, we've been talking about this. Trump efforts to mobilize men sending suburban women even further away, according to Republican strategists. Yeah, no kidding, right? All about the douche bros. Yep. College-educated voters were reliably Republican for decades, but now they're turning away from Trump from his toxicity. It started in 2018, but then Dobbs put a flame to the gas. Said one strategist, not only do you have Democratic suburban women who are turning out in high numbers, but there's also moderate, sane women who the Republican Party has moved away from. The Trump campaign is going overboard to win over and mobilize men, exacerbating the divide and pushing women in the other direction. I mean, I think that's going to be one of, if not the major story of this election, don't you think, is the women's vote?
I absolutely do. And, you know, we all love Hillary. You know, I voted for her, but I do think there's... for whatever reason, there's more of a likability behind Harris in many ways. So I think we have so many more voters coming out there. I think we have a tremendous amount of Republicans that are tired of the BS that have been switching their votes. We also have the youth vote, and we've got coalitions on the ground when it comes to black voters and Native American voters, you know, Pacific Islander voters. Like there's massive coalitions happening that I don't think we've ever seen before. And I do think we're going to have a popular vote that blows 2020 out of the water.
You know, I will say, I've said this over and over in Hillary's defense too. You know, Kamala didn't have 20 years of vicious reporting that Hillary had against her. You know, they already, I mean, oh my God, they had demonized her for how many years already. So I think there was that she was up against, and then of course the misogyny, some of which Kamala is also experiencing. But I agree with you. She's also what everybody says, a joyful warrior. She's really enjoying this, whereas Hillary would be the first to tell you she didn't enjoy campaigning. She wanted to govern. You know, she always said, I'm not the public speaker. My husband or Obama is. Like, that wasn't her. Whereas I think Kamala is just, I'm not the only one saying it. I feel like she has run a flawless campaign.
I agree with you. And I also think that, the Clintons are definitely seen as part of the establishment. And like it or not, because her last name was Clinton, they didn't want necessarily another establishment person in there. Kamala breaks that. Kamala doesn't have a history where her husband was the president or someone, you know what I mean? Or that someone else was the president already. But the misogyny and racism we're seeing with Kamala, when the MAGA and the press are asking a black woman to justify the words of a white man instead of asking a white man to justify his own words, and I'm talking about Trump.
Yeah.
No one is saying, she's got to answer for Biden.
I was thrown off because he's an orange man, but the white got it.
Fair. Yep, that was fair. I lost you. I saw it in your eyes. They glazed over. I was like, she's not following this at all. It's one of those things you can see it. There's no reason Kamala Harris should have to answer for Joe Biden's words ever.
A reporter asked her yesterday, "Are you going to take a cognitive test?" Because Donald Trump says you should. Like, this is just the stupidest timeline in the universe. But
how about we give him an IQ test? Like,
Yes.
forget the cognitive list. Let's give Kamala and Trump an IQ test right next to each other.
But we talked about a lot of this wrestler that's talking about voting for Kamala. I'm sorry, real men are going to vote for Kamala. Men that are not scared of strong women, and also I think, Dana, more and more people are framing this issue. Abortion is not just a women's issue. I mean, it's been a while since I've dated a guy. I think there's usually men involved.
Usually, yeah.
Women getting pregnant.
Usually.
And they have a lot of stake in this too. If you want your pay docked for the rest of your life because, you don't have any choice if your girlfriend gets pregnant. I mean, if you don't want your mom or your sister to be able to get cancer care, that, it's a lot bigger issue. It's not a women's issue, right?
I wish that people that were focusing on that, and obviously the abortion issue is so important, but talking about women's health in general and men's health and healthcare for trans men and our trans women, like this Planned Parenthood provides a tremendous amount of healthcare that is not just abortions. It's a small percentage of what they do, and it's so necessary around this country to make sure that stays legal. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that for those people that are somehow still undecided, to be able to reach them at a point that actually they can feel like, some sort of medication. I mean, if they take away the ACA, everyone in this country has anxiety because of this.
Mike Johnson is on record as saying they're going to take a sledgehammer to it. I mean, this is
pre-existing condition. Under the insurance company, anxiety and depression is a pre-existing condition. Asthma is a pre-existing condition. We need to talk to these parents and talking about their kids and being like, if you want to be able to get health insurance and if you want your child when they grow up to be able to get health insurance, you need to make sure that they don't gut the ACA. Do not vote for these people.
Yep.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.